everyone, my name is Miranda and today I am here to review The Fate of 10 by Picadus Lore, whatever. This is the 6th and penultimate finally book in the I Am Number 4 series, and if you haven't read up to this point yet in the books and you don't want to be spoiled for what happens, just a warning that spoilers up until the last book, The Revenge of Seven, are coming because this book picks up basically right where Revenge of Seven left off, and since I haven't read that in over a year and really don't remember, all I could really remember was that Sam somehow developed telekinetic powers, 6, Adam, and Marina were out looking for some Lauren legacy thing in Mexico, Marina went crazy, and 5 is still a murderous psychopath. So with that in mind, the book, like I said, picked up right where we left off, right in the action of things, with the Mogadorians attacking New York and attacking the entire world, it turns out. And then we also have Ella's point of view is kind of spliced together, which I was okay with not having so much of Ella's point of view because I've never really like understood her character or gotten her character, so like having so much of her point of view in the last book is really like what kind of started to ruin it for me, because like I cared more about Seven and they were only focusing on Ella and I was like, help me. And I feel again like the point of view, it was very off-putting. It wasn't like flowing well enough for me. Like I feel like we'd get to a really good part in one of the point of views and then it would switch to the other point of view and you're like, okay, I saw that coming, but then like it would just go on and on and on in this point of view to the point where like you forgot what you were so interested and so excited about in the previous point of view. And it was weird because 6 was definitely like a main character. Like I feel like she had more chapters from her point of view than John did, which is weird because like John's been like the main character so much thus far in the series. 6 is definitely like my favorite character, so I was okay with having so much of her point of view and seeing her in more of a leader charge kind of position, because her and John have always been like side by side, like co-leaders kind of thing. So I like that John kind of took a step back and let 6 lead in this book, but at the same time like I feel like they needed a better way to integrate John's like point of view and what was happening with him, because it just felt like too jarring to go from like fighting Mogadorians in New York City to like in a Mexican jungle where like nothing's happening and you're just preparing for an invasion. Like it was weird how the whole book was like built up for this battle that was coming, but then at the same time we also had a battle that was already raging on. Like I feel like it could have been really, really good, but it didn't come across that way. Like it wasn't executed well enough for me to be really invested in both point of views equally and for them to feel as equally important and entertaining. And let me just say the end, F that. That end I was so irritated with because I just I can't spoil it. But now we have reached the point that if you have not read this book and don't want to be spoiled for what happens, because there's some big things that happen, thank you so much for stopping by, but we're gonna have to see each other after you've read the book or after you don't mind if you're spoiled, because the spoilers are now coming. So bye for now, non-spoilers. Alright, so The Fate of 10. Let's get into all the nitty gritty diddy wacha woom. So the book picked up right away with a point of view of some random chick who somehow, when she was under attack in New York City, found out that she had telekinetic powers, and that's how we realized that Sam is not the only one that mysteriously developed telekinetic powers. It's all these random human beings that have been chosen by the legacy that 6, Marina, and Adam released down in Mexico. They all have powers now somehow, like they're actually members of the Guard, whatever you call it, because they have like telekinesis, invisibility, like they have all these powers that the original 9 had, but now there's like hundreds of them, so it's actually really, really cool. I think the 2 biggest issues I had with this book is just character development and, like I said before, the point of view split. I feel like character development, I just wasn't invested in a lot of these characters. Like Daniela, I thought was such a little like whiny little biatch. Like I just did not like her at all, and I didn't get her. I didn't get her. John, I felt like, was not very developed in this book. Like, we usually see him go through some kind of struggle, much like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson do in each book, because he's like the main character. But I feel like this book he was more passive than he usually is, where he didn't really have to like deal with anything directly, although that's definitely going to change in the next book because of what happened in the end. I just feel like sometimes like in this series, character development has been sacrificed for like the sake of advancing the plot. So like they're like, let's throw in 5 more characters, but we're not gonna flesh them out well enough so we'll actually care about them. And that's one problem I've always had with Ella. I'm just not connected to Ella, and I see that also with Marina. I'm just not, like, I don't get her character. I feel like she's very, like, almost bipolar in the way she acts, like the way they write her out. Like, sometimes she can be the kindest, sweetest person ever, and then sometimes she can just be, like, the coldest, meanest, psychotic person ever. And I don't get how those two, like, how she just, like, switches them on and off so quickly. Like, I feel like that needs to be fleshed out more. But one new character that I do love, I have to say, is Adam. I feel like he's a really strong asset, and I love the idea that they added a Mogadorian who now has Lauren powers. I really, really like that, and I think he and Six worked very well together. This one, like I said, was predominantly Six's point of view down in Mexico, and I really like that. I think it was really, really interesting. It was a little too drawn out for me. Like, I feel like because they knew this battle was coming, like, it kept going and going, like the preparation for it. But I love seeing how they're not running anymore. They're not hiding. They're bringing the fight to the Mogadorians. And it was really cool how, like, they had, like, Six called it that guerrilla warfare style, where it's like they weren't relying solely on their legacies and everything. They were using them to set traps. They weren't just, like, brute force, because they know that doesn't work. With Secondus Ray, they know that they have to kind of, like, trick him and do, like, hit and run things and not just all out assault him, which I think was really cool. But at the same time, like, seeing how long it was dragged out, like, we knew from, like, page 50 that he was coming down to get them, and then for, like, the next 300 pages, it was, like, them trying to figure out how they could set everything up, and it got tedious after a while, as cool as it was, like, seeing them work together. And then we had John's point of view, who was in New York, and John's point of view, I just did not care about at all. I would have rather had Sam's point of view and seen how he dealt with all this, because John was just so, like, nothing really happened to him, I feel like. Like, I would have liked if he could have gone down to Mexico and helped them out instead of just, like, standing around with Five and Agent Walker, because I feel like it was just boring to me. Like, I didn't like his point of views at all. And then when it did get to moments that, like, I liked, we went to Six's point of view, and then we had, like, 3 chapters of Six's point of view, so I forgot what I liked about John's point of view. And then lastly, we need to talk about the end, because the end was absolutely crazy. First of all, there's no flippin' way they killed Secondus Ray. Like, I know Six thinks she does, but unless I see the body and I see it disintegrate, die, go down in ashes, I don't believe it for a second. And especially since he was pulled back on by everyone. I mean, they definitely have doctors on that ship and everything, so it sucks, because that means Sarah kind of died in vain, and it was so awful when Sarah died. I knew it was coming, because stupid me picked the book up at Target and was like, let's just see what happens at the end, see if anything cool happens. And then it was like, oh, and Sarah dies. And I'm like, what? That's literally the last pages, she dies? I'm like, what is happening? Sarah is one of my favorite characters. I really, really like Sarah, and I think her development has been the strongest out of any character in the series, including John, including Six, including any number of the Garde, whatever their name is. I just feel like her start from, like, the first book to where she is now, aside from being dead, is just, like, so amazing. So for them to just, like, kill this character off, I'm hoping that they're gonna, like, find something like a resurrection stone or something, because that way they can bring back Sarah. It was such a heartbreaking ending, and the fact that they put her with Six instead of with John, that she actually, like, sacrificed herself and died basically in Six's arms, because, like, Six was, like, covered in her blood. She had just saved Six. She was the one that carried them when Six was, like, ready to, like, self-sacrifice herself. The idea, I feel like, it's just gonna have huge repercussions in the next book. Like, Six even said it herself. Like she even says, how am I going to explain this to John? How am I going to live with it? It should have been me. So I feel like this is gonna be, like, a really strong repercussion for the next book. I'm just really interested to see where it's gonna go, because I really hope they didn't kill Sarah off completely. I love her so much, but you know it was coming. Like, 8 was like, his death was like, oh, that sucks, but Sarah's like the emotional humanity core of what is happening in the series. I feel like she's the tether that everyone has. Like, this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the humans. We're fighting for their world. And to have her be gone now, that's going to absolutely tear John apart, and that's going to tear Six apart, because she sacrificed herself for Six. So, like, how is Six supposed to live with that, knowing it should have been me? I'm so interested to see the last book, but I'm so happy that it's the last book, because I feel like this series should have ended like 3 books ago, honestly. Like, it's just been dragged out so much. I'm not even, like, reading it because I like it anymore. I'm just reading it to see what happens. So I would definitely have to give this book 3 out of 5 stars because it wasn't necessarily bad. It just, like I said, I'm just reading to get through it at this point. If you have read this book or the series, please feel free to leave your thoughts down below for what you'd like to see in the last book now that it's finally here. Yay! I'm gonna give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And also be sure to subscribe to my channel down below to be told when I make all sorts of new videos. Thank you guys again all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!